In this video, we'll talk about how you should practice your serves. So now most people know that they should practice their serves, but it's really bothersome to do so most people really don't do it. And if they go out to the court, they see it kind of like a chore, and all that's happening is they're just trying to hit the ball right in the center of the court or into the center of the service box. Now, the problem is if you just take 50 serves and you're just aiming for the center of your service box, you really don't get much out of it, especially if you're not somebody who already doesn't really double fault a whole lot, right? Every other shot that you're hitting, forehands and backhands, if you think about it, you're practicing with a purpose. You're trying to either add more spin, add more power, get better placement. You have to think about the serve the same exact way, because if you think about the serve just about putting the ball in, it's the same thing as if you're just hitting your forehands in the middle of the court all the time. While, for beginner players, that's still a challenging task and it's something that they need to work on. As soon as that becomes easy, you gotta step it up. You gotta get to the next level. The next level, in this case, most of the time, is placement. Right? So now if we're taking a look at the serve, a well-placed serve without any power won't really do much for you because the opponent can go to the ball very easily and attack it. Right? The service box is very small, so it doesn't take too many steps to reach a ball unless it's fast. So the first thing that you need to practice is obviously to get your serves to the level that they're a bit faster. And if you feel like, okay, now I got it to the point where if I hit hard and I place it well, I'm usually in an advantageous position after, then that's when you start to work more on placement of your serves. So in this case, what I usually do for my practices, if I actually go out and practice my serves, as you can see, I put a couple of cones there. I create two zones that I really want to hit into. The first zone is the two right cones and the center line. So between those two imaginary lines, you want to make sure that you hit the ball in there. That's a T serve, and that's my target. The second target zone is my zone out wide, right? So you can see the other two cones on the left side. And imagine a triangle between those cones and the single sideline and, I guess the net, you could say. So you want to make sure that you choose one of those targets for every single serve you hit. And ideally, you want to get more and more balls into those targets. So it's really important that you set yourself that goal. So for example, you would come out and you would practice simply just hitting at one target for half a basket and then choosing the other target. Or if you don't have that much time, maybe make it a quarter basket for each of those and then go over to the other side and do the same thing from the left side rather than doing two baskets total. Now, if you practice like this, let's say once or twice a week, I promise you will feel a huge difference in a month or two already in how many balls you can actually put into those target zones. Now, the important part here is that you don't just hit them soft to get them to their targets, but that you actually hit the ball hard, because you want to learn how to place your first serves. So it's important that you practice with the same kind of intensity and power that what you would use in a match when you're hitting your first serves, when you're trying to get an advantage out of that serve. Now, if you're practicing the second serves, and that's something that you really want to practice a lot because you just don't feel like you're doing enough with it, well, then first of all, obviously placement is key, so you can at least, hit the ball to the backhand or to the forehand, depending on what side is weaker for your opponent, right, whenever required. So you have enough placement or enough accuracy to get the ball to the right or left half of the box and make sure that the opponent hits it with a side or with a forehand or backhand that you desire. Now, the key point here is that if you feel like you still need to build up strength, power, spin, whatever it is on your serves, you need to set yourself goals like that as well. If you go to the gym, for example, and your goal is to do a deadlift of 500 pounds, you want to get really strong. Right now you can lift 300 pounds. So now you wouldn't just practice every day lifting 5 pounds 500 times, but you would try to at least sometimes go past your limit. Try to see if your strength increased, and all the other days you're trying to push yourself. You're trying to get stronger. The same thing goes for the serve. So if you're trying to hit a heavier kick serve, for example, every serve you hit should be hit with a goal of making it bounce higher than the last one. The higher the ball bounces, the happier you should be. Sometimes you won't even break your record on how high the ball bounces. Like, that's what I do for myself. I check, where does that ball bounce on the second bounce? How high into the back fence does it bounce? And I'm trying to break my record. So meaning I'm trying to hit a ball that bounces higher than the highest bounce I've ever produced. And I try that with every single one of my serves until, I'm satisfied with where I'm at. And now I'm trying to maintain. Now the key point is obviously this requires a lot of practice eventually, right? Because you're trying to get stronger, so you need to be consistent with it. And by a lot of practice, I mean at least do it every week once or twice so you can actually build up that kind of spin. The same thing goes for power though. If you're trying to hit hard, you should be trying to hit every serve with full power. Maybe today you can't hit harder than yesterday. Maybe you're a mile or 2 miles an hour slower than yesterday. But if you don't try to hit as hard as possible every time you serve, I promise you, your serve will not get as hard. So you can practice much more efficiently, which means you can do less practice if you have an intention behind every serve that you hit. So be it the spin, the power, the accuracy, set yourself a goal for every serve you hit and try to fulfill that goal every time you start serving.
Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.